Hello fellow garden lovers, if you've been nurturing your plants and experimenting with compost, fertilizers, or even homemade FPJs, you already know that not all soil boosters are created equal. Today I'm sharing a game changer from my own garden experiments. 1. Ingredient worm tea. Trust me, this simple elixir can often outperform compost in helping your plants grow greener, stronger, and more productive. In this guide, I'll walk you through exactly what worm tea is, why it works so well, how to make it, and the precise ratios to use based on your garden size. Whether you're just starting out or are an experienced gardener looking to maximize growth, this article will become your go-to resource. Why worm tea works wonders. You might be wondering, why should I bother with worm tea when I already have rich compost? Well, let's break it down. Worm tea, also known as vermicompost tea, is essentially a water-based extract made from worm castings. While compost is nutrient-rich, it takes time for those nutrients to break down and become available to your plants. Worm tea, on the other hand, delivers nutrients in a form that plants can absorb immediately. But it's not just about the nutrients. Worm tea is teeming with beneficial microbes, enzymes, and organic compounds that support a healthy soil ecosystem. These microorganisms help break down organic matter in the soil, making nutrients more available and improving soil structure. In my own garden, I've observed plants perk up within days of applying worm tea. Leaves appear greener, stems stronger, and flowering plants bloom more profusely. For those who love experiments, I also tried a direct comparison: two identical sets of plants, one watered with a standard FPJ or compost tea, and the other with this one-ingredient worm tea. The difference was remarkable. The worm tea plants consistently had more vibrant growth, healthier foliage, and better fruit set. Creating worm tea is deceptively simple. You really only need one key ingredient: worm castings. That's it. Of course, you'll also need clean water and a container to mix your tea, but no fancy equipment or additional additives are necessary. I always recommend using castings from worms that have been fed natural pesticide-free food. This ensures that the tea you brew is pure, nutrient-rich, and safe for your plants. A simple bucket, watering can, or even a large jar can serve as your brewing container. If you want to take it a step further, a small aquarium air pump can help aerate the tea, encouraging the growth of beneficial microbes, but this is optional. Let's get hands-on. Making worm tea is easy, but following the correct steps ensures your plants get maximum benefit. Here's how I do it. Step 1. Measure your worm castings. Start with a ratio of 1 part worm castings to 10 parts water. For example, if you have a small garden, about 5 square meters, 500 milliliters of worm castings to 5 liters of water is ideal. For a medium garden, which is around 20 square meters, use 2 liters of castings per 20 liters of water. You can just adjust proportionally for larger areas. Step 2. Mix thoroughly. Pour your worm castings into the water and stir well to suspend the particles. You want a milky, nutrient-rich mixture. If you leave it clumpy, the distribution in the soil won't be even, and your plants won't get the full benefit. Step 3. Optional fermentation. Although you can use worm tea immediately, I like to let mine sit for 24 to 48 hours in a shaded spot. This allows beneficial microbes to multiply, making the tea even more powerful. If you choose to ferment, give it a stir once or twice to aerate. Step 4. Strain if necessary. Depending on your watering method, you may want to strain your worm tea to remove large particles that could clog a watering can or drip irrigation system. I usually skip this step if I'm hand watering because my plants love the extra sludge at the roots. It's pure nutrition. Step 5. Apply to your garden. This is where the magic happens. Pour the tea generously around the base of your plants, aiming for the soil near the roots rather than the leaves. For leafy greens and young seedlings, I apply once a week. For mature fruiting plants, once every 2 to 3 weeks is plenty. Getting the proportions right is key. Too little, and you won't see much difference. Too much, and you risk overloading your soil. Here's a quick guide based on garden size. For a small garden, about 5 square meters, you'll want to use 5 liters of worm tea per application. For a medium garden, say 20 square meters, go with 20 liters per application. and for a large garden around 50 square meters, 50 liters per application is just right. These amounts give you a balanced boost of nutrients without overwhelming your plants. Remember, consistency matters more than quantity. A little worm tea applied regularly is far better than a massive pour once in a while. Now, let's talk results. I ran a little experiment in my own garden because, honestly, I like seeing real evidence before recommending something to fellow gardeners. I took 2 identical sets of plants, same soil, same sunlight, same watering schedule. One set received a standard FPJ, made from fermented plant juice, while the other received my 1-ingredient worm tea. Within a couple of weeks, the worm tea plants showed visibly greener leaves, thicker stems, and more vigorous overall growth. By the end of the month, fruiting plants had a higher yield and a better quality harvest. Compost FPJ plants grew well, but not as quickly or robustly. Why the difference? It comes down to bioavailability and microbial activity. Worm tea delivers nutrients that plants can immediately use while enriching the soil with beneficial microbes. Compost improves soil over time, but it's slower to show results. For gardeners eager for visible improvements in growth and harvest, worm tea is often the more satisfying choice. Okay, so, even with the perfect worm tea recipe, a few simple tips can make a really big difference. First, always use clean, non-chlorinated water. Chlorine can actually kill the very microbes that make worm tea so effective. Rainwater or filtered water works best, honestly. And, don't over-apply. Even with something natural like worm tea, too much can stress your plants or throw off the soil balance. You know, it's a good idea to combine worm tea with occasional compost applications for long-term soil health. The tea gives your plants immediate nutrients, while compost helps improve soil structure over time. Also, be sure to monitor plant response. Every garden is unique. So, pay attention to things like leaf color, growth rate, and soil moisture, and just adjust your application frequency if needed. One of the reasons I really love recommending worm tea is its simplicity and effectiveness. Beginners can make it without needing a huge pile of compost, any specialized equipment, or complicated ingredients. And for experienced gardeners, worm tea is a fantastic quick boost for crop seedlings or any area where you want fast results. It's also versatile. You can use it on vegetables, herbs, fruit trees, flowers, and even potted plants. If you want to experiment, just try making small batches and comparing results on different plants. This hands-on approach is what makes gardening so rewarding. The trial, observation, and eventual triumph of healthy, thriving plants. So, final thoughts. If you've been relying solely on compost or complex FPJs, I encourage you to give 1-ingredient worm tea a try. It's simple, effective, and honestly, it's incredibly satisfying to see your garden perk up in real time. The beauty of worm tea lies in its balance of nutrients and microbes, giving your plants exactly what they need to thrive without overcomplicating the process. Remember, the secret isn't just in the tea itself, it's in the correct ratios and consistent application. Apply the right amount for your garden size, follow the steps, and just watch your plants respond with vibrant growth, greener leaves, and more abundant fruit. Here's a quick call to action. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Soil Sage Chronicles for more practical, experiment-driven gardening tips. Share this article with fellow gardeners who are looking for easy ways to boost their plant growth. And most importantly, get your hands dirty. Try this worm tea recipe and see your garden transform before your eyes. Happy gardening, and may your leaves always be lush and your harvests plentiful.